All right, good evening. We will call our Grants Pass School District number 7 meeting to order at 5 o'clock, and we will begin with our pledge of allegiance. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, we'll begin with our agenda tonight. We'll start with written communications. Do you have any written communications?
Yeah, the board has an envelope addressed to each one of you, written by a resident of Vail, Oregon. I believe this individual is sending these to school boards and community leaders and all throughout the state. So it was addressed to the board, so we're delivering that to you to take a look at later or tonight if you choose.
Well, and you've looked at it, haven't you?
I have.
And I know I had a question from the patron of the district about the 1619 and how to use that. Do you want to share that with them?
Yeah, so asking about the 1619 project, and I'm not the history guy. Andy gave a great response. And so it was questioning whether or not we were teaching about the 1619 project in high school, and the conspiracy theories behind that and the political agendas at that time, and is that real history or not? I cannot speak as an expert to the topic of 1619. If the board would like more information about that, I can gather that and share with the rest of the board.
But at this time, 1619 is not a project that District 7 is pursuing.
No.
I think it's about a bottom line there.
Bottom line.
Okay. Any other comments on our written communication?
I guess, sorry, I've been thinking
Every
about
night.
this a little bit. And I so appreciate the Gilder Lehrman Institute, and we have, National History teacher amongst our staff. And the bottom line for them is look at the documents, the actual documents of that time, and learn to think about them and make the decisions from actual documents, not someone's interpretation of them.
Okay. If we have requests from persons wishing to speak to a specific action item or discussion item during our meeting, they can use the chat feature on the Zoom call, and we're happy to entertain any questions or comments moving forward. Our next item is our PACE Safety Nomination, Safety Star Award, and Outstanding Program Recognition.
Yeah, so in your packet, you can see a letter addressed to Director Ely. Director Ely, are you out there? I would like you to speak to this.
Yes, I am here. The safety award was for our school marshal program, and it was awarded to us by our property and liability insurance carrier, PACE. They were impressed with the work that we have done, the partnership we have with our local police department, and the benefit that that marshal program provides to our school community as well as just our community overall. So just wanted to recognize us for that.
I would also comment that it is recognized, or lots of enthusiasm from Grants Pass Public Safety and wanting to partner to highlight this as a real accomplishment for our district. We both believe it could be a precedent-setting national model for school safety, and so it's been presented at conferences throughout the state.
Great. All right. We'll head to number 3 on our agenda tonight, the consent agenda. So our first item will be approval of our October 13 from September 22nd, and then our financial report and also the personnel report, which is all in our.
This is Member Durbin. I move that we approve all of 3.1 in one motion. I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Did we actually approve the spark lease?
Oh, gosh. I can now throw something at you a lot easier from this side of the room. That's self-funded, not across the room.
All right, Tanya, we need a roll call vote for this motion.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who seconded that. Me. Member Wilkins. Member De La Grange?
Yes.
Member Durbin? Yes. Member Brownell?
Yes.
Board Chair Nelson?
Yes.
Member Coleman?
Yes.
Member Wilkins? Yes. Member Richardson?
Yes.
All right, our motion carries. Thank you. Next up will be our reports. We'll start with our principal reports from elementary school.
Yeah, so just to try to find that balance and keep our building administrators and the board and keeping that positive connection there. Moving forward, we're going to rotate by level board reports, starting with elementary this month, middle school next month, high school Gladiola in September, and then start that rotation over, allowing the building administrators to highlight what's going on. And I mean, there's a lot going on, and there's not much going on. So we'll start with Jake Musser from Allendale.
Good evening. Thank you guys for inviting me to the board meeting. First off, Friday, October 30th, we have our first annual drive-through costume parade at Allendale Elementary School. Students, families, and staff will be invited to dress up in their costumes. PTA and some staff members will be spending the day decorating the front of the school for students. We'll hand out goodie bags for the kiddos when they arrive. And we're going to make sure we get this out to all of our current students, as well as our students in Grants Pass Online, our students who are in homeschool as well. Everybody is invited to this event. We also started our limited in-person learning for our 4th and 5th graders. We have 20 students coming in this week. It's increased every week with the amount of students we're bringing in, so we just continue to hope to increase the number of students we bring in each week for that. And that's it from Allendale.
And we'll turn it over to Principal Dan Bannon.
Sorry, I was trying to be quicker on the mute switch. Good evening. It's nice to see all of you at a very tiny little version of you. Glad you're all doing well. We also are doing our Halloween drive-through on the 30th October. And we are adding an element of doing a community virtual pumpkin patch at Highland. So we're gonna encourage all of our kids to take pictures of various different pumpkins and decorations, and then we're gonna build that into a video to put on the website. And I might be asking Kristen for a little help to really dress that up nice for our families. So we're excited about that. And I know this is true for all the administrators, but I really wanted to take a chance to prop up my staff here at Highland. They have been working so hard and meeting challenge after challenge to do everything they can possibly do for all of our kids. And I'm really super proud of the hard work they're doing. So I wanted to share that with you. And then I am going to turn it over to my new friend Kelly over at Lincoln.
Hi, everybody. We've got some exciting things happening at Lincoln. One of the things that I'm really excited about is, as a staff, we are going to start a book club, and we're using this book, Deep Kindness, which connects with the next item on the agenda with the board with Character Strong. And it was something that was shared at the admin meeting that I really was inspired by, and I'm going to share it with my staff. It talks about how to kind of become and make kindness the more new normal. And if everyone kind of shifted their practices by 1%, what a huge impact that could have. And so I'm excited for that. We have had a lot of success with getting kids on campus for our limited in-person instruction. And one of the big highlights has been that we have students who last year really struggled to maintain a school day and even coming from stepping stones. And they are having a lot of success coming every day for 2 hours and getting to have that in-person instruction. So that's been a huge, huge success. So thank you.
And we will turn it over to Principal Lewis at Parkside.
Hey, welcome. How's it going, everybody? We're doing many of the same things that you've heard previously, but there's two things I want to highlight. One of the goals at Parkside this year is really working on our social emotional well-being of all of our staff. So we've had many activities what we've been working on, but one thing I want to highlight that we're currently doing right now is we have a big blue button, all right? And the way this works is somebody on our staff has the big blue button, and they give hints to who has it. And then we get a morning email. And so as quickly as you can, you try to figure out who that person is, but you only get to ask 2 people, and you only ask 2 questions from them. And so we started that today. Again, just one more thing, just getting people out of their classrooms, connecting with each other. But that's one thing that we're doing currently right now to build our social emotional well-being for the staff. And then on the student side, in my 2nd grade classroom, all my 2nd grade teachers are reading Humphrey. And so what I got to do this week, it's pretty cool, is I don't know if you're familiar with the book, but Humphrey's a hamster that's trying to find a place to stay in the classroom, and they're trying to figure out how to take care of Humphrey. Well, in the book, there's a principal who wears ties, and that's what they tell me I do all the time. And so I was fortunate enough to be a part of the book. So they're reading the portion of the book that the principal takes Humphrey home for the weekend. And so I walked in today and yesterday and said, hey guys, I have Humphrey here. Would you guys be willing to take care of him? And so again, and the kids were like, but that's just like our book. That was pretty cool. So anyway, so those are just 2 of the things that we're doing. But again, we're intentionally trying to just continue to build the emotional well-being of all of our staff, families, and friends. So anyway, that's what's going on at Parkside. And I'll turn it over to Redwood.
Just before you go, Christine, little insight, there's a big blue button. If you have students who are remote learning right now, big blue button is the Zoom version that's inside Canvas that teachers are accessing. So it's like Zoom inside Canvas, and they call it big blue button. And so it's kind of an inside joke across the district. So, thanks. Christine, go ahead.
Well, good evening, everyone. I have some very exciting news coming from Redwood. Over the summer, Redwood was invited to participate in being a pilot school for positive discipline. And what that means is that Jody McVitie, who is a co-founder of Positive Discipline, identified Redwood and 2 other schools in Oregon to participate in kind of their next level of support and pilot some of the new things that they are doing. So we had a vote this fall, and we had a 96 vote of confidence. So tomorrow is our first kind of event with her, and she's going to do a refresher course for everybody who wants to participate, which the certified staff will be there, and then any classified staff that wants to participate is going to be coming to that refresher course. And it's completely based on social and emotional needs for students, but then also for staff. So I'm really excited about that. And then also happening on the 30th, like a lot of the other schools, is our costume parade, and our PTA is amazing. And they have come up with a theme this year, and it's going to be Alice in Wonderland. So we're really excited about that.
And last but not least, Principal Henderson from Riverside.
Well, this year brings many challenges. With those challenges, I want to just say how proud of our staff that I am at Riverside. Just the amount of learning that's come for teaching online and for being in the classroom and having these small groups. Some good things have come out of that. One of them, just the technology piece. Our teachers are becoming absolute gurus, especially in 4th and 5th grade. For the most part, we've had almost every kid tune in to some of our online lessons. I looked today, and over the last 2 weeks, all but 4 of our 5th grade students have tuned in to at least 1 lesson every single day, which I think is a testament to our teachers' efforts to get out there and get some good work going. Part of my favorite things, the good things that come out of this now, is I'm seeing kids a little bit more, because in the mornings, with our student drop-off. That's become my favorite part of the day with our student check-in, where we're out checking temperatures and seeing our K-3 kids come in every single day. Just that good morning piece with those. And in the afternoon with Pick My Kid, where we're seeing them individually and saying goodbye to every kid individually in the afternoon. Our staff has done absolutely amazing with those pieces. So just want to say congratulations to our staff across the district K-3 on everything they're doing with our kids with that. Just like every other school, we are doing a Halloween parade. That'll be on October 29th at 2:30. So if you want to see all of our kids dressed up and our staff dressed up, come on through Riverside and catch one of those goodie bags that we'll be handing out. And hopefully we get to see all of our 4th and 5th graders come through that day as well. But those are the things that are happening at Riverside. The other positive thing of small class sizes, last year at this time we had about 300 behavior notices. We've had 3 this year. So that's kind of a testament to the small class sizes, kids being able to regulate a little bit more, building that relationship with teachers and the other kids around them. There's not this extra stimulation. And of those 3 behavior notices, none of them have come from the classroom. They've been 2 of them online and 1 of them on a bus. So that's been pretty impressive. So I want to say congratulations to our kids and staff for that. And I think that's it for Riverside.
I did have one general question. I forget which principal mentioned it, but they mentioned that some of the 4th and 5th grade students had been coming back to campus now. Yeah. So I was just wondering if that can be addressed later in the meeting, or if that's something
that was addressed at the last meeting about limited in-person instruction and what we're allowed to have on campus besides K-3. So we're doing it in the middle schools, we're doing it in high school, up to 250 students per site per week, in cohorts of 10 or fewer. And so there was that priority list Director Evans went through about who is selected to come back for limited in person. Mm-hmm. And so, so all of our schools have been doing that and growing the number to try to maximize that 250.
Okay. And is that separate than 4th and 5th graders coming back?
That is 4th and 5th graders coming back.
So that's
because we're allowed K-3, limited in person is 4 through 12.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Okay.
All right, well, thank you. I think I speak to the board. We appreciate all that the principals are doing in the elementary schools. We recognize the challenges that you have moving forward, and we're very grateful for all the positive energy and even for the hamsters. So, for Humphrey. So thank you. Our next item on our agenda is Character Strong, middle school curriculum.
Yeah, Director Evans, I'll let you introduce our dynamic duo.
Yes, thank you very much, and hello, everybody. Character Strong was brought to our attention by Principal Barrett Sale at South Middle School. He and his his SEL classroom teacher, Erica Butler, had done some research last year looking at a variety of curriculums for possible use in advisory period. When we started this school year and knew that we weren't going to have advisory at North and South Middle School, which we've discussed with the board previously, we still wanted to utilize the Character Strong curriculum and asked our 2 SEL counselors at both North and South Middle School to dig into the curriculum a little bit more. And they're here today to share with you what they have. They met with our Parent Advisory Council, who unanimously supported this curriculum. So Selena Alderson from North Middle School and Kim Hull from South Middle School are going to tell you a little bit more about this curriculum, how we plan to use it this year. And then long term, we do plan to expand the use of this curriculum when we come back to more in-person instruction. So Selena, I'm going to turn it over to you and Kim.
All right, thank you. Todd has a Google slide presentation that he's going to start for us, but I have to say, I am so happy, it makes my heart so happy to hear so much talk about social emotional well-being and support in all the schools. That really blesses me, so thank you for that. Just waiting for that to come on. There we go. Social emotional support, Character Strong 2020. I'll talk a little bit and then Kim will talk. We included this slide. It says buffet etiquette would tell us to grab a plate first in a buffet line. In education, SEL should be our plate. It should be the foundation.
Welcome to the sixth grade classroom.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of challenges with Selena's audio coming through. I don't know if other attendees are having the same challenges. It's coming in and out pretty heavily.
Yep,
Oh,
it is.
shoot. Okay.
That's better, Selena, when you lean forward.
Is it better? Okay. I just went ahead and read that out loud. We believe that social emotional support should be the foundation in every school. And so again, it made me really happy to hear that so many wonderful things are being done with that. Okay. So here we have a comparison of other curriculums that we've tried, and they're great. But is really focused narrowly on resiliency, overcoming, getting over obstacles. Still great, still wonderful activities, but not as comprehensive and broad. Discovery is focused on social skills for the classroom, very strategic behavior strategies. And Purpose Prep there was no interaction. It was just strictly online, and it was a little bit more advanced for our middle schoolers. With Character Strong, we have SEL skills for the whole child. It was created by teachers for teachers. Very intentional, consistent practice for building character. Very, very relevant. It stays up to date in relevancy. Very robust and comprehensive, and it's always evolving. They're always adding more to it and making that available. And it aligns with CASEL's 5 competencies, and we'll show you what those are in the next slide. So CASEL is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, and they have a framework for social emotional learning. And 5 core competencies are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. And Character Strong covers all of those competencies. So within Character Strong, we have an advisory curriculum that is designed really to be used by teachers if necessary, whether in an entire period or 10 to 15-minute chunks each day. We also have a leadership curriculum that is more intensive, a Character Strong gym where there are lots of social emotional activities for admin, staff, students, and parents, which is one of my favorite parts. There's an activity library, a video library, and a really great kindness journal. And I'll show you what that looks like toward the end. And now Kim's going to talk about advisory.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity this year to sort of pilot pieces of the Character Strong curriculum, mostly the advisory piece. We're offering an SEL class to our 6th graders this year. It is a 9-week class that rotates with health and careers and SEL. And I've been able to explore the advisory curriculum pretty consistently, and it's awesome. The language in this particular slide that's noteworthy is that it's curriculum that's designed by teachers for teachers, and really in a plug and play format where teachers are not having to devote a lot of additional prep to developing lessons, and even teachers who may not necessarily be initially comfortable teaching and talking about concepts like relationship skills and character development. It presents the information in a format that is really a come as you are format, in that teachers can easily feel comfortable with it, and then students at all SEL skill levels can enter into the curriculum pretty easily. Next slide. So what's unique about the curriculum for the 2020 school year is that they've adapted some of their advisory lessons to be specifically delivered online. And so that's made it pretty slick for me, teaching something new and teaching in an online venue and having to learn so many other things. It's really been, I appreciate that I have curriculum that's really usable. Each lesson starts with relationships first. And there's some team building, community building, and relationship building activities that the kids get to choose from. And it just kind of brings, it brings a sense of fun to each lesson, and it's highly engaging. The topics, as you can see, hopefully you can see, maybe see, for advisory, and they cover a broad scope and sequence. And there's three middle school grade levels that are available. They recommend that if we were all to start using advisory at the same time, that we start at level 1, which is the 6th grade level. It's not, it's developmentally appropriate for all 3 grade levels, but it would allow us all to be starting on the same page. And you can see the topics range from, you know, making kindness normal to character spotlight, how to develop good listening skills, active listening skills, and it's all presented in a really fun, engaging way.
Okay, next we have the leadership component of the curriculum, and what I love about it is the undertone is that it's not developed for only students who show leadership skills. It is founded on the belief that every student can be a leader, and it is just so full of wonderful topics. The main focus is what can we do for others? It's very others focused. To teach strong leadership and character skills to better prepare students for life in and out of school. So not just for school, but also at home and with friends and family. To give teachers the opportunity to connect with their students in a positive way, to form a positive relationship, quality conversations and lessons. So again, teachers also can adapt these lessons to their, however they see fit to be used. There are some of the topics: team building, selflessness, compliments, active listening, power versus influence, forgiveness, patience, just some wonderful topics that address just building the child as a whole to be a leader.
The Character Strong Gym, I think, is probably one of the best features of this comprehensive curriculum. It's the piece and the component that allows the curriculum to reach all of our constituents, our teachers and our families, as well as our students. It provides activities, relational building activities, as well as what the most unique feature of this program are these character dares. Each advisory lesson closes with a dare for the following week. And there's character dares that are specific for staff and character dares that we can send out to our families to get them involved in positive behaviors and community building. For example, this week in the advisory lesson, the character dare is to notice one positive thing each day and write it down. And like one of the family dares that we've invited our families to participate in is making a bucket list together. And it just gives really specific ideas for how to look outward and notice the good around us in a time that is really challenging for everyone.
So that is really small. You're not going to be able to read those kindness journal entries, but it's 30 days of quick and consistent challenges for the students to give a try, and then it gives you something to talk with them about later on when you see them. Again, it would be used like at the end of a day together, and then you would revisit, hey, how did that go for you? Did you try that out? And there's no pressure. Students can try these little kindness activities, and they don't have to participate, but they do have to engage in the conversation surrounding these little challenges. If you didn't want to try the activity, then at least what do you think about it? What do you think would happen? So it's all very positive and gives, again, the student a chance to think about things. And then we kind of show you how we are using this curriculum currently online. We each have a little Canvas classroom, and this button and it takes them right to one of the kindness challenges. And then with the little button that says join me for group, they're able to join me for some virtual social emotional groups that I will be running here shortly.
And then this is my home page for my Canvas classroom, and I'm really excited to be actually able to use it in an SEL class environment. And so far the response has been positive. I'm sure enjoying it. Hopefully the kids are too. I know we're having a lot of fun together and some good chuckles as we work together. And I think right now our use of the curriculum, it's in its infancy, but we're just super impressed with the potential that's there for school-wide change and positive impact, even within our community, as we familiarize our families with these opportunities as well. And that's all. That's all we've got.
That's a lot.
There's 7 periods, 1 lunch, so I'm not sure. Her schedule might look a little different. Questions from the board? I just have a question. Is this, I think this curriculum sounds awesome, and I'm glad it's getting implemented. And is it structured only for middle school, or is it something that can be utilized at elementary and high school levels as well?
There, Trish?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure if one of you two was going to take that, but yes, it is. There are components of it for elementary as well as high school. As you heard Kelly talk about from Lincoln, she's real excited to dig into the curriculum and share some pieces that she's been learning about with her staff.
And can I add one thing? It's vertically aligned, so something that you start with the youngers gets built upon as they go. So the curriculum matures with the child, which is awesome.
I think this is really great, and I think it will help students, and it will help parents, and it will help staff, and it will just help everybody. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate your presentation.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item is our student health survey.
Back to Director Evans for the student health survey.
Yes. For as long as I've been doing this, we have been giving the Oregon Wellness Survey at the secondary level. We've got a lot of really good data from the Oregon Wellness Survey. That survey was given every other year by the Oregon Department of Education. Another survey, the Healthy Teen Survey, was given by the Oregon Health Authority on the off years of the Oregon Wellness Survey, and we did not participate in that survey. What has happened in the state of Oregon is Oregon Department of Education and the Oregon Health Authority have begun to collaborate on collecting this data and information for all students in grades 6th, 8th, and 11th with the student health survey. So they took elements of both of those surveys and combined them together. The benefits of doing that is that the data is used for a lot of information related to student health and wellness, grants, different things like measuring student health, Student Success Act, things like school-based health centers, advocating for things like that. The survey data is used for a lot of different things, and so those two agencies collaborated together to come up with a student health survey. We thought we were going to be giving it this next month, is why I put it on your agenda so early, but we've been notified that we can wait to see if we come back to in-person instruction, so it has been pushed off until March. The test is given in English and Spanish. There will be a parent letter sent home prior to the survey being given. Parents will have the opportunity to opt their student out of participating in the survey. It is 100% anonymous. It should take students about 30 minutes to complete. And we will, again, be giving it in March. So just wanted to bring it to your attention, let you know that the Oregon Wellness Survey has gone away, and that it's been combined with a Healthy Teen Survey, and that this new survey, the Student Health Survey, will be our new measure going forward.
Will this be every year or every other year?
You know, that's a really good question. They haven't made that super clear to us, and I think because of this way this is kicking off this year, they're trying to kind of figure it out as they go. I think their intention is to give it every year.
That makes sense, combining the two.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do with the previous data? Will it be worth anything comparing it to the data going forward?
There are, we attached the 3 different surveys. We had only previously surveyed 8th and 11th graders, and you'll see that a number of questions are very similar to what they were in the Oregon Wellness Survey. You've heard both middle school and high school have used that data quite a bit in the past. That's how the prevention team at Grants Pass High School was started, using the Oregon Wellness Survey. So there will be good information alignment there that will help continue to spur on the work of our prevention teams at both middle school and high school.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Trish. Next is our student investment account review and public comment.
Yeah, so circling back, last spring, the board, it was presented to the board, and opportunity for comment from the public was provided. And everything, lots of things got put on hold. We did submit the plan for review. We had, and those got postponed. We had the review with the team at the Oregon Department of Ed, and they had some significant concern over one particular item in that we had intended to utilize our funds. The funding was revised by the legislature in emergency session, so we were originally awarded about $4.6 million, and that's been reduced to $1.6 million, just over $1.6 million. So we had to revise our priorities and our budget. And with the significant concerns that there has been a long, arduous process to make the argument to utilize the funds for facilities. Because we were able to secure other funding, such as the ESSER grant, the Elementary Secondary School Relief Fund, braided with seismic funds, we were able to find other resources to continue on with the construction at North Middle School. And so, of note in here, you'll see the revisions that are in here where things are stricken through. The things that are stricken through are all primarily related to the additional construction projects and activities. There is one add to this program, or to the budget, that we were able to identify as a priority, and that is effective use of data to identify and use data to identify students at risk and provide appropriate interventions. To do that, we effectively need to do some high-level programming and add a program and software analyst to our building capacity. Technology is, as Dr. Bloomquist will share in a later report, technology is where we live now more than ever, and being able to mine the right data so building teams and intervention teams can use it effectively, determine that is a critical component to add to our list. So just kind of circling through, you can see the budget updates. You can see what items were identified as priorities and postponed, and what items we deemed the most important going forward under the current circumstances. So if the board had any questions about the changes and adjustments to the plan, we do have to submit this by Thursday to include board minutes that reflect that the board not only reviewed, not only did we also offer additional public input, but that there's an approval board approval agenda items later on. So I guess hitting those high level, I just opened it up for my team. If you had anything else to add to my explanation of process and priorities, feel free to chime in. If the board has any questions or comments.
And so what's it all add up to?
It all adds up to the 1.6. I guess we don't have the total on there.
We're spending it all.
We're spending it all. That's right. We're spending every ounce of money we can get.
I just wondered if we had to shift anything from general funds to cover.
No, we didn't. We were still able to maintain the priorities in here and accomplish what we felt was reasonable under the current circumstances. And the current circumstances of remote learning just made some of those investments ones that we could easily put off to future years and future funding of student investment account dollars.
Remind me of the timing, so this particular application and the funding that we're suggesting is for funding that will come this year, and then when we say postpone, it could just be that some of those things get added for next year.
That is correct.
Okay.
And so depending on tax collections, state school funding, so the collections for the student investment account were actually much higher, but the legislature had the authority to take those and backfill state school funds, which is what they did. And that's why our reduction went down as much as it did.
I guess one of my questions is just, as part of this, obviously you're trying to weigh up how many kids are back in school right now and what services or people that we're hiring could support those immediately. I guess one of my questions is to kind of hear I was really excited about Stepping Stone. Yeah. And so with that being postponed, is the thought just because we don't have as much in person right now? Is that kind of the theory behind that?
Yeah, that is the theory behind that. And, trying to adhere to all of the safety precautions, knowing the student population we were serving, that was one factor. Looking at current staffing that we do have and going to the GPO and having to get some teachers went that direction. We had to backfill some positions on campus. Mm-hmm. So a number of different factors went into that.
Okay.
I know some of these items are one-time expenses and some of them are ongoing expenses. And so for the district programmer position, is that something that is kind of a one-time thing where they come in and they set up all these systems for us and then we maintain and run them, or is that like a permanent position that's like an ongoing?
It's intended to be a permanent position. It's intended to be a position for which we have never had somebody at this high of a level. And it's really about building our capacity to be more effective. We have a lot of projects that are not being attended to. We are down an individual due to personal circumstances, and we've posted for this position and have had 0 applicants. We have to rethink what we want in this position and attract somebody with a tremendous skill set to accomplish this. And the intention is to be that person.
That was going to be my.
What's that?
Is 100,000 enough to attract?
No, it's not. We're adjusting that. There might be some backfill from the general fund on that particular item.
Yeah, that was my comment. It was like, either this guy's no good, or you're gonna pay more.
Yep. Dr. Bloomquist and Director Cancel and I met on that, and we are trying to make this a more attractive position.
We did do some analysis of other programmers, what they are getting around town, and so we've upped that, and we're gonna spread a wider net and try to get that person that will really help us out.
I have another question about this elementary school support services. I feel like we had behavior intervention specialists, the Stepping Stone program. We were going to do teens, I think that was somewhere in here. I saw, yeah. And so is the thought that the behavior intervention specialists are kind of the highest priority out of addressing a more varied set of issues? Okay.
Yes. And having 1 FTE per elementary building was the priority, and not split somebody between the buildings.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
So that is maintained as a very high priority.
Got it.
So is the application for next year?
We will be updating the application for next year. We're awaiting the approval on this one, and everything just seems to get postponed at the state level. So they'll do a projection for us, and then we'll have to determine from that budget estimate, like we got the 4.6 estimate, and so we put together a budget to accomplish or utilize all 4.6. Depending on what that estimate is next year, we will have to update this plan with new investments or investments that we're going to continue to fund out of the state investment account.
So there's a section here that talks about academic return on investment, but you have somebody explain to me how that works, because I don't really see it.
Yeah, Sherry, do you want to speak to academic return on investment? It's a very complicated concept.
And we get a district program where they can mine the data and give Gary very specific data points on how we're getting that return on investment.
So when we look at our
good program.
Yeah. So Sherry, are you out there?
Yes, I'm here.
You want to speak to the AROI?
Yes, so I couldn't hear Gary, and so was the question just, did we look at AROI or what? Tell me what the question was.
There's a description of AROI in the application, and then there's this high and medium, but I'm not really seeing how AROI was used, and so I was asking somebody to explain that to me.
So when we look at determining academic return on investment, we look at how many students the program is going to serve and then the cost of the program. And so that gives you one measurement. That tells you, like, in actual dollars, like if you're going to serve 10 kids and it's going to cost this much money, it's going to cost that much per kid, right? But then you have to look at those items that you can't really place a dollar value on and combine that with what the actual cost of the program is and the cost per student is. And so when we look at that, so it's not like there's an actual equation that I can show you that says we picked this program because it's only going to cost this much and it's going to serve this many kids. That was a consideration, but then looking at how many kids the program was going to serve and the needs that they have and how much it costs to address some of those needs, all of that fits into the equation. And so then we determine what is the best value with the money that we have to spend and which of those populations of students are going to be best served by that money. And so that is how we arrived at the behavior intervention specialist being one of the top priorities, because even though there's not like a ton of students that are being technically served, they are the highest need students because they have it has such an impact on their success in school and also the disruption that it causes in a regular classroom. So I'm talking in circles, but I hope you get what I'm trying to say, that it's not just a dollar for kid equation. There are a lot of other things that go into it to determine if we feel that this is the program that's going to provide the most value for the dollars that we're spending.
So do we have the numbers somewhere?
No, we do not have specific for these determined interventions.
Well, Kirk, we did do the analysis. We did do the analysis of that when we were going through the budgeting process. And so, I mean, I could dig all that out and show it to the board at the next meeting. I don't have it like right in front of me, but we did do that.
Okay, we'll do a future report on AROI concepts and how we apply it going forward.
And I know that we're going to start the budgeting process sooner this year, so I'm kind of looking at targeting January because that gets me past the audit season. So we can start looking at that when we start actually bringing the budget committee together, so we can dive into that a little bit deeper if the board and the budget committee so chooses.
No?
Sounds fine.
Okay. Well, it just sounds like there's discrete data points that we can get, but a lot of it is very subjective.
Yep.
What we feel our needs are. So I mean, the value will only be from a data perspective, maybe half the story. The other half of the story is, what the administration feels they need. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it would be more qualitative and anecdotal and a lot of theories.
I do have one question, maybe Sherry, you can answer, that is just discrete data, not subjective. I noticed that in our personnel report, we had 18 individuals who, I think I counted 18 that are retiring or not coming back. What kind of impact does that have on our budget? Are we trying to fill each one of those positions moving forward this year, or are these monies that we will be saving that could also be used to hire these other categories that we need, but we're not able to, or we aren't going to use this investment money for right now?
Actually, both. Some of the positions we will be filling, and some of them we are not. And so you will notice some savings as we go throughout the school year of those positions that we're not replacing. And so those funds can and will be used for some of these other positions that you guys were talking about earlier. And what's not used will just fall to the ending fund balance that will have cash left over at the end of the year. I don't have an exact dollar figure. That's not a calculation I was prepared for tonight, but I can definitely give that to you at the next meeting. That would be an easy one to come up with.
Well, if it's easy, then that would be great. I'm just curious how much money the district is saving with that, and then where we could potentially put that money to for our best academic return on investment.
Yep, I can get that for you. We do that when we go through budgeting anyway. We look at who's retiring or who's resigning, and then who we're not replacing or who we are replacing, and then the differential between salaries. And so that's a pretty easy one I can get for you.
Okay, that would be great.
If this is an application, does the state get to say yes, no?
Yeah, so it's going to go in. We were complimented considerably on the process that we went through with the stakeholder engagement, the diversity and the efforts we made to engage a diverse vote. So yes, they found something they just really couldn't live with in here, but overall review was all other parts of this. They were super impressed with the work done by our team. So that was encouraging. They started the meeting off that way. We all felt good, and then we said, you can't build buildings.
All right, any other questions or comments or concerns?
And open to the public. If there's anybody in the public, we need to get that in the record that this is open for public comment. Should anybody have anything, please let Dr. Bloomquist know in the chat, and we will take that at this time.
Currently nothing in the chat to report out, but I'll keep my eye on it for y'all.
Very good, thank you.
All right, our next report then will be our technology report.
Yeah, so I just asked Dr. Bloomquist, just give us a high-level summary of the technology growth that we've experienced in very short order here in the district. So he put together a pretty concise document for you. He's going to give you a quick high-level overview.
Great. Well, good to see you all this evening. Yeah, so just a real quick rundown. I won't read the report to you. You've already got that, but just to kind of highlight some of the key things. Obviously, the big one was spinning up a learning management system. While we had to have students in comprehensive distance learning mode, even with our K-3s on campus, we still had a lot of students that are learning from home. Some of you in this room are working on that. We're learning from home, and it's been a very heavy lift by everyone. So just want to start by saying a huge compliment out to our teachers just for working so hard to learn something that most of them thought they would never have to learn how to do. And yet we all got to do it, and we got to do it together. So you can see in there just how many page views we're getting in a single month as we're learning how to do this. As I'm tracking the data, we're getting more page views as more kids are engaged. Anecdotally, a lot of staff are reporting just how online the kids are. We do have our kiddos that are not, of course, and the families that are struggling, and so we're working on helping them out. But a lot of folks are really able to get in and use the software. It hasn't come without its hiccups, and it's been a bumpy road for a lot of us you don't know what you don't know. So one of the things that's been really difficult is that most learning management systems don't come with a comprehensive video programming for video conferencing baked into it. They rely on third parties like Zoom, or you heard Big Blue Button mentioned earlier. So we're actually working on our own instance of a video conferencing tool that we would do in partnership with the Southern Oregon ESD to see if we can't make that a safer and more secure environment that's more dependable. Right now, you're relying on traffic over the internet, depending on where Zoom or Google have their servers set up and whatever traffic is going on in whatever big cities. And so we might be doing just fine here. We keep a careful eye on our bandwidth being used, and we have lots of bandwidth here in Grants Pass and in Southern Oregon, but it's getting out to San Francisco or Eugene even, or Seattle, where some of that stuff bounces around. So just taking a look at that. I'm going to scroll down here. One of the tools that you read in there is Go Guardian, which we started using about a year ago. We did a study about 2 years ago to find a product that would be helpful for teachers to manage their Chrome classrooms, so Chromebooks. And Go Guardian is just a really powerful tool that helps us know what's going on in each of these kiddos' laptops, Chromebooks, whatever device they're on. And then also allows us to provide that in-home filtering that meets that children's internet safety provision, that federal guideline, the SIPA guideline that we have to meet, since our kids aren't on campus where we have that baked into all that we do. Trying to get that out into everybody's home. We can't expect every single parent to go out and buy a SIPA filter for their home environment, much less manage it. That's very complicated. So that Go Guardian allows us to do that. We can then, as teachers, as administrators, even as parents, can monitor what your kids are doing. And then the other one that I know was mentioned at an earlier meeting are the hotspots. So working hard with the state of Oregon and their partner, Verizon, we were able to secure about 300 of these hotspots just to have on hand. So the district owns them. They're $50 a piece, so not terrible. And then for everyone that we provision, that means we check out to a student who's using it. That costs us about $19 a month. And that also comes with a very manageable SIPA filter so that we can basically control what those kids can do with that hotspot. For example, they're not allowed to stream Netflix. I know that's a bummer for everybody, but they just can't do that. So all the those kind of entertainment sites are shut down. They can't even go onto social media sites. They really are strictly for education. We also can turn them off. So right now, these are scheduled to turn off about 10 o'clock each night, and then they turn on again at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if you remember, but during the pandemic, I shared out that we had lots of kids that their clocks just flipped. And so they would be up all night long, surfing the web, playing on their computers or whatever, until 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, and then crash and then sleep until 3 or 4 in the afternoon, then get up and do it over again like that. So this, trying to keep them on a school cycle and try to have some sense of normalcy is sort of been a big deal. So anyway, that's just, again, high level. Huge appreciation for Rachel Damiano, who I think is online here tonight, just kind of moving her position from north to come over and help with the Canvas. We made sure that we've got a phone number for families to call. They can get help by emailing in. I've got 3 techs that are also working the phones to help them all out. We are definitely an understaffed technology team. That's one of the reasons for adding back one of the positions. But we're managing right now with some of these adjustments, and I'm just grateful for everybody just jumping in and helping out. But do you guys have any questions?
So we purchased 300. We're only using about 100. Didn't at one point we get the information that there were like 800 students who...
Yeah, up to. Yeah, so the data comes from a regional analysis of who has internet access in the area. That number is about 14% of the people who live in this area, Josephine County, do not have access to the internet or choose not to. So we poll all of our families as they register for school every year. We ask them if they have access to the internet, what kind of internet, and if they need some kind of internet access or supports. And so what we found out is I think that 14% are maybe for some folks who just, the internet never was their thing. So they just never, they don't need one. They don't have it. For our younger families, I think they see it more as a necessity. This is kind of how the world works. And so they kind of just have it. We found even with our homeless families that a lot of them actually have some kind of internet service, even if it's just on their cell phone. So they actually subscribe to a service. So that number is much less than what we thought it was. So we have extras here. We'll have them throughout the years. And again, we're searching to find families who are not online or not engaged. And we're jumping on those families, say, hey, you can actually have this hotspot. It's free to you. The district is paying for it. And that way your child can stay online and be learning. So that's the difference in the number, Debbie. Great question. Great memory, because that was a number that I was very concerned about last spring.
I was concerned also. I was happy to see that we had 300 and wondered if it was adequate. Thank you.
I have a question about the Chromebooks. It looks
Sure.
like we had to switch from Dell to Lenovo because of demand issues. Was there also budget issues with having to try to purchase Chromebooks during this crazy time?
No, also great question. We're pretty frustrated with Dell. They told me 2 days before we were supposed to receive our shipment of 1,000 Chromebooks that they were not going to provide them until March. And so pretty frustrating. Through our state agency, through our consortium purchasing and the state contracts, we could also go with Lenovo, which is an IBM product, or Acer products. And we've had all three of the vendors before. All of them actually are really similar. There's really no moving parts other than the keys and then the hinges for the lid, but they all kind of work the same. So we haven't actually had performance problems with any of them. If anything, we're going to probably save a little money with the Lenovo's. They were coming in about $15 cheaper per device. We do require that they provide us with an assurance that they will last the full 6 years. Some of those cheaper Chromebooks that you can buy, once that central processing unit has been stamped into the Chromebook, Google guarantees it for what they say is 6.5 years that it will work with the operating systems that they have. But after that, they don't guarantee it. And so sometimes you'll get a discounted Chromebook that is already 3 years into its life. And so you only have 3.5 years left with it. So we make sure that they all come stamped with 6 to 6.5 years of life in them when we purchase them. So quality wise, we have the Lenovo's already in service, and they've been a great product.
And obviously budgetarily, there was also some emergency relief funds specifically for technology that has helped us pay for the hotspots and pay for additional Chromebooks, pay for Canvas, Pearson, which connects to the elementary online curriculum. So fortunately, there was some money that really helped offset a bunch of that.
Yeah, we're really fortunate for those relief funds, and Sherry's been great helping manage that. If it's really related to COVID in some way, we could charge that account. So that's been really helpful.
I charged some buildings to COVID. $1.4 million of buildings to COVID. New middle school.
COVID. Actually, that's the ESSER funds, emergency.
Oh, yeah.
The elementary secondary school relief fund. Cool. So those have had broad flexibility for us.
All right, thank you, Todd.
Thank you all.
I think did every office manager say amen when Rachel came on board?
Yeah. We.
Yeah, well, everyone. I know the high school girls are like, we're trying to talk these parents through.
Yeah, making this shift and pivot. Was getting concerned about Dr. Bloomquist and the 80+ hours a week that he was trying to respond to thousands of emails, phone calls, etc. Shifting by bringing in additional support, very streamlined. We've been able to be very responsive. Having Rachel down here. The need actually physically in the middle school is not as great right now, so we've utilized a new vice principal at South Middle School to support the elementary online program, and then Rachel has a secondary online program in Canvas support. So it's been very helpful. Okay.
Superintendent report.
Yeah.
4.2.1, review of goals.
So one of the things we said we were going to do is just do a quarterly update of, I have the goals or this around the standards here that are established, utilized by the state of Oregon and across the country. And so just noting progress or evidence of activity under here. I didn't get the board an electronic copy until today. I apologize for that. Trying to update some of that. So again, this is an ever-changing document as different things come up. And some things I guess I'd highlight is, trying to consistently make monthly recommendations to the board. Some things we have accomplished together doing that. The visionary leadership with the establishment of the strategic plan and then reviewing that on a regular basis. Inclusive district culture. You can see some of the things that we've done to ensure people are connected at this time with hotspots, the additional summer school opportunities we were able to offer in COVID. A lot of these items are items that are on board reports, so they're noted that way, so you see the connection between the work of the district and the superintendent as related to these standards. Culturally responsive instruction. The very bottom of the first page, we are posting, and it's in the SIA budget, we're posting for an administrator for equity, diversity, and inclusion to guide our work in that area to ensure that maintains a high priority for us as a district. Flipping over to page 2, some highlights in there. And a number of these things appear daunting right now with COVID and the current circumstances and the priorities we have as a district. So I'm doing my best to do that. So community, I think this is an area where I feel been able to be pretty accomplished just in this short of a year because we are so reliant on community partners to do the work we're doing right now. And so I did a presentation with Rotary. I've done 8 interviews with TV, and we've had 28 articles in the Courier just from July to September on different elements of what's going on in the school, so keeping the community informed. So spent a lot of time trying to coordinate community supports. I actually add Joe's Place to that second goal there. Met with Darren Williams online from Joe's Place on how we can support students who are coming to Joe's Place for daily time in school. Newly established thing in our community, a local community member is organizing weekly key leader meetings, and so I'm in a group of about 10 individuals. You can see they represent across the city, county, local pastors, business mentors, gospel recognition, and more. Partnership contracts with different community partners to accomplish our work. Something I'm excited about, this is your opening, Gary, is I was asked to be one of 2 superintendents. Brett Champion is the other, convened by Representative Pam Marsh. She has this vision of a seamless kindergarten through post-secondary vision where just by sheer fact that you're enrolled in Grants Pass School District, you are a future Osprey or you're a future Raider. That alignment is there, and a big part of that is dual credit. There's also a marketing piece to create that college and career culture mindset at a younger age. And so she has convened, and now we've met twice. We're committed to meeting monthly on a regular basis. It includes RCC president, SOU president, 2 superintendents, and then respective members of our cabinets to look at the barriers of why is it easy to partner with this one to offer this credit and it's harder with this one to offer that credit, and breaking those down, costs associated with them, data sharing, and those kinds of things. So has a lot of potential. The barriers being daunting as each person talks about the challenges they see from their respective institutions. So excited about where that could take us going forward. And it's not impossible, right, Gary? Is that the word?
Yeah, impossible, that was I am possible.
And that had to do with our conversation between Trish and Gary and myself about that student talked about it beforehand, before the meeting tonight, about having students see before they get to high school a pathway to get to an associate's degree before they leave, or close to, or a pathway that gives them that post-secondary experience. So anyway,
And it's very daunting.
it's daunting. It is, from all levels, it appears that way. So obviously communicating with COSA and Oregon Department of Ed a lot lately. Recruiting or strategies for recruiting, hiring, and retaining. Director Cantola has established a classified new hire and monthly meeting. So our highest turnover is classified. Folks were asking about savings in the budget. The reality is right now we're not getting people to apply for a lot of our positions. So this new hire orientation is more about helping people feel welcome, part of the family. I kick it off a little bit and just that piece right there, and then Danny and Todd do a 1-2 combo on them and helping them to really feel like a valued member as an educator, no matter what position you're in our district. So that was established, and we've run several sessions of that right now. Classified Labor Management Committee meeting we had recently. Bargaining, there were 3 MOAs approved in September, and you have 3 more tonight. We continue to work closely with the association. My comments right now, based on what I hear from the UNISERV rep, is the relationship that Grants Pass has with our certified and classified bargaining units are better than anything she sees in Southern Oregon. And testament to my entire director team and our willingness to work with and make our employees feel supported and appreciated. So I feel really good about the work we've done over the recent years, particularly in that area. On the last page, just talked about how just effectively maintaining organizational structure that maximize our capacity, just moving Rachel and Tanya in very short order, being nimble to support kids, families, and teachers. That was just an example of what we may have done here recently. And then effective financial management. We've heard a lot of conversation about the use of funds. Sherry's incredibly good at what she does. And so you get the monthly financials. So anyway, I just want to do a high-level overview of a lot of the work that the district is doing ultimately under superintendent. If there are questions or things you want to add in there that you've seen, you feel free.
I glossed over, your meetings with the Department of Ed, but I know this has been a trying time for superintendents everywhere. And appreciate all the hard work and nimbleness that the district has and continues to move forward.
Thank you. There have been a lot of communications and advocacy, and not just at the superintendent level, the director level, the board level in some occasions. Just want to comment and appreciate Gary's advocacy in reaching out and making personal contact with ODE on just let us help kids, and really is a bit of that. So,
Are they listening?
There are people in Salem who have very good social emotional skills. Their grasp of things we might call facts is a little weak. But they hear you. They hear you.
Well, Kirk, thank you for the update. We do appreciate it, and I'm glad that we have the opportunity to go over this every quarter, and I think that helps the board see the work that's going on.
I didn't get a chance to read it before tonight, so I promise to go read it when
Send
I
me
get.
some feedback.
Yeah.
I welcome, please, feedback from the board.
All right, our next item is our board reports and special concerns. Debbie?
Well, I have noticed on Facebook the Who Am I principle, little vignettes, and I think they're a lot of fun, and it's really nice to get a little insight on these different principles, and kudos to that whole program.
Yeah, Kristen's brilliant idea on how to celebrate our principals during, I think this is National Principals Month. And so kudos to Kristen for that idea. Another one, if you are a Facebook follower, is Throwback Thursday. And we are seeing a different generation on Facebook tune into Grandstaff School District, and there are pictures from back in the day that people were saying, hey, that's so-and-so and that's so-and-so. So even social media is garnering a little bit of following from more generations.
Are you gonna put Gary and Debbie's band photo out on the Throwback Thursday?
Oh, that's a great idea. I know Kristen's listening, so we'll dig that one out.
In Casey's volleyball photo, maybe?
I don't mind that one. I look really good in that photo.
I'd like to comment, Principal Musser during his report made a comment about being inclusive of some homeschool students, and I just wanted to let you know, Kurt, that I am very supportive of that. My personal philosophy, I guess you'd say, is that District 7 has an obligation to help with the education of all students within the district boundaries, not just the ones that are, quote, public school students. So access to libraries, things like that, particularly what Principal Musser mentioned, I really appreciate hearing that.
Right.
I went back through my old notes and I wanted to just follow up on a couple different things. And one is more kind of nebulous, but I just wanted to ask if Dr. Bloomquist is listening. My question's around mental health services that are available to students and families in this time. And I know that, a lot of people are dealing with a lot of stress, and I just want to make sure that the families are all aware of what's available to them, and that everything's made easy for them to access. So I just wanted to follow up with that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Brian. So we have a pretty robust mental health behavior team that gets together regularly to talk about these issues. Also, our partnership with Options for Southern Oregon is still very strong. So staff can, if they see students are really struggling, they can kind of use our same referral processes. They have even those RAP services meetings are still going on. And then a lot of this Options staff, they're counselors that are working with our kids. They're mostly providing teletherapy. And when I talked with the Options staff, they're saying it's actually pretty successful, a little more than they were expecting that it might be. And so they're still able to access them. But your point is incredibly valid, that this is a really difficult time for families and for kids. And so our extra big radar is out there for kids that are struggling, maybe extra layers of darkness and depression sort of kind of folding in. You'll see coming to the board in it might be the next meeting or the one after that, a new board policy that not only are we required to have, but also that helps us make sure we have systems in place for any suicide ideation and things like that. So it's still an issue for us all. It's tough to process all this. We just had an administrative meeting today, for example, and we spent about 40 minutes kind of working through just processing this time together, because it's not only unprecedented, it's just hard to grapple with what is actually happening. And so just taking time to do that in a mindful and meaningful way. You're seeing things like that, the character curriculum that came out tonight, which is just beautiful and aligns really nicely with the brain science as we've been working together on that. You see the positive discipline curriculum. that Christine's done such a beautiful job of helping her staff see. And again, it's very aligned to the trauma-informed practices in the brain science. So we're being very intentional about these things. But having said all of that, we have to keep our eyes very open in our partnerships with options, with the Department of Human Services, Child Protective Services, and our safety officers, because it's really hard to see. It's just much harder to see when we can't be in person with kids.
Brian, shouldn't you have addressed that to Kristen? The chief communication person, and that was the question.
Oh,
Touche.
perhaps. Yeah. I don't know if.
Well, maybe the reverse, because I think that if we're basically continuing to use the processes we have in place, whether it's for staff to identify families that get them connected with the right services, but if there's on the other side of that parents that are struggling, that it might not be apparent to the kid, especially through distance learning, or not just parent to the kid, parent to the teacher, that family's struggling, what communication out to the parents may have happened to have them proactively reach out if they need help.
Yeah, their ability to self-report.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Well, are we meeting people where they are? And I think that the high school has a team of multiple people, and I would imagine each school that are actually going out and knocking on doors because they make sure that.
Yeah.
And saying how's it going.
Yeah.
Am I correct, Todd?
Yep, and we do have a protocol for that. So as children are exhibiting qualities that make us concerned, their families are saying, "Hey, we're concerned." We actually it's a pair duo that goes out. Sherry kind of helps to do that oversight to make sure that we're doing it correctly and safely. But we can go right out to families like that, and then also just lots of phone calling with families, lots of trying to touch base. And so we're interested in all the ways to communicate with them. On our website for parent resources, we have a number of things that highlight how to help ourselves through this time, and then also access to resources.
Thank you.
That makes me think of a question that feels very Scott-esque to me, which is, but are we giving you guys everything you need? Do you feel like you've got the positions posted for the Todd and other directors that are working 80 hours a week right now? Do you feel like you've got enough positions or resources, or attempting to gather the amount of resources to help in some of those stress points right now? What else could we be doing to help support you in that way?
Yeah, and I think as things evolve and change, we're doing a pretty solid job of identifying that, and it's really building organizational capacity. I think of the term I believe Gary has used previously. It's about adding this programmer here. I really met with Director Ely today and to say, are we building organizational capacity in the operations side of our school district? And so ultimately I see investments for our curriculum side of things, that we have COSAs, or teachers on special assignment, in particular curricular areas to support those directors. We've increased capacity in the special ed department with adding the special ed coordinator. So I believe our team's doing a good job of stepping back and looking at the work that needs to be done, and coming together and making recommendations and following through on that. So I feel like the group's being very analytical and building the organizational capacity.
Whether we can find the people is another question.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
So is there anything we should be doing to help in that arena? Because it's kind of a different way of looking at the same problem, but I don't know, if we continue to have a hard time filling some of these positions, I think a number of employers are struggling with that right now, for even though unemployment's a huge thing in the country, but finding that whether that's posting the job to have it be remotely so you can hire from anywhere in the country, or just encouraging other ways to kind of look at some of that stuff.
So we do use multiple. I mean, it's out there on Indeed, and what are some of the other big ones that, like this specifically, this high level tech position. It's out there on multiple platforms. We send to universities and colleges throughout the, those that are recognized as being really high quality education programs. And so
Places like OIT.
OIP would be one to send this one. Ideally, we're looking for somebody with experience, but if we can get somebody who's coming out of school with a high-level background, you know, or high-level skills with the most current technology, we definitely would entertain that. So,
Gary's shaking his head. Experience is key. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, we believe that as well.
So an intern kind of position wouldn't be helpful.
No, not this time. We need somebody who can be a true manager, manage projects and manage people.
I guess what I would say is continue to tell us where to step in and to step out of.
If you know somebody, please
Yeah.
tell them.
No, Gary,
all I can see you guys doing is a board.
We could authorize more money to spend for positions if you offer enough money.
Let her rest.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so we literally need to analyze our current salary schedules, both on the certified and classified side, but then we have more flexibility on the confidential side, but that's not bound by a collective bargaining agreement. So, yeah.
Can we go remote with that position? Could it be somebody in Montana that's doing this kind of work?
That's a stretch right now. It's a stretch right now. To bring somebody from the outside and understand what we need educationally, it's regular communication, meetings, partnerships, etc. So be challenging.
Well, this wasn't here, it's California. Nevertheless, a program I know which is not of the caliber you need went for 140K, 15% bonus, and 50,000 in stock options.
We ain't got stock options.
We'll give you stock in the GPSD7 school district.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that's out there for high-level programs.
You're just preparing us for the sticker shock. Got it. Okay. That's taken. When we do get one on the line, it's gonna be.
And third,
Everything else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just again thank you for the bargaining abilities of our district office. That is definitely a prideful moment when talking with local people and people from afar. Everybody wants to know, how's the union? How's it going? Good. We're good. We have a good team. Thankful for that.
Did have one other thing before we move on. Not on this, it's a separate topic, but I'm really happy about how the district is distributing meals to students, and I think that program is going really well. And I went back and I looked, and one of the notes I had previously was I heard that in Jackson County they were able to expand their program to also offer free produce boxes to families so that they were able to have access to fresh produce to use at home. And so I don't remember where we left that. I thought maybe that was going to be followed up on, but I don't really know, so I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, I'll have Sherry have a conversation with. We are accessing any program we can to feed our families right now. So,
I know, Brian, at one point I had talked to Michael about that for you. And it didn't appear that we work with farm to table, farm to school program, but none of the participating farms that we had were the same farms for Jackson County that were offering those large boxes.
Okay.
So our contacts and local farms weren't doing that.
Okay.
That was the follow-up.
Okay. So is that it, or is there like other farms we can reach out to, or?
I answered your question.
No.
Did you want more?
Yeah.
We didn't want to follow up at that time. Sherry we could follow up.
yeah. I'll work with Sherry and we'll follow up with Michael to see if we're exhausting available.
Thank you.
So this one, I'm not sure if it's resiliency or mental health. I was just gonna comment on Oregon's ranking for the pandemic or COVID disease. You've often heard me talk about reversion to the mean and some other things that skew data. Oregon currently sits at 48 in cases per capita and 46 in deaths per capita. So essentially we have pretty much avoided the pandemic in both Oregon and here in Southern Oregon. But my point is the virus will come here, and there's really nothing we can do to stop it. And it's great that we've been last. I'd much rather be last than first, but we need to be prepared because the virus will come to Oregon.
Recommendations on how to prepare.
Well, currently, the Ashland Hospital, which houses all of our inpatient COVID cases, is at its highest number that it's ever been in the entire pandemic, which is 11 currently. It's not an overwhelming number, but we are seeing patients in the hospital right now.
Perfect timing. Wonderful timing.
But our deaths have remained very low, and I think that's, yeah, it is here. It's not, nothing is not here.
And being last means the doctors have time to practice, and it's always good to give the doctors time to practice.
That's all we do every day, practice. One of these days we'll get it right. All right, any other board reports or special concerns? All right, well, let's go to our action items then. 5.1, approval of student investment accounts. May we have a motion to approve the student investment account policy that we heard?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Would you give us a roll call vote on that, please?
Member LaGrange?
Yes.
Member Durbin? Yes. Member Brownell?
Yes.
Board Chair Nelson?
Yes.
Member Pullman?
Yes.
Member Wilkins? Yes. Member Richards?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Back on track.
That's what it's all about.
Well into it, so come through.
5.2, approval of first reading and revised policies and ARs. Can we take all of this in one motion? Okay, so 5.2.1, the ECA-CB unmanned aircraft system, aka drone. 5.2.2, special education evaluation and eligibility procedures. 5.2.3, communicable diseases staff. 5.2.4, communicable diseases staff. 5.2.5, communicable diseases students. And 5.2.6, communicable diseases students. And we have a motion to accept the revised policy.
Does Member Durbin so move?
Member DeGrange, second.
Any discussion?
On the drone policy, the student violation part concerns me a little bit. I mean, it's almost right up there with bringing a weapon to school, and then not seeing that. In terms of the discipline here, sure though.
Depending on how it's used, what it's used for, I would, if it's weaponized, I mean, kids are creative. If somebody's using it in an unauthorized fashion and somebody's injured, I think there's, yeah. So it's a provision that's there just in case the highly improbable happens.
I always have a problem with what's that?
It's a may, not a will.
Yes, but when you create policies that essentially I liken it to you're just guilty and we can do whatever we want unless we choose not to. That's terrible.
So every disciplinary action has what's required under law is due process. We are required as administrators to give students due process. And there are very specific boxes we check. It's not guilty because we know something happened. It's the process of investigation, having the opportunity to explain yourself, call witnesses, and even very almost quasi-judicial in regard to suspension or even detention. And so it's not in the district guilty in any disciplinary action.
Well, the problem with it is when there's huge amounts of discretion, is that then it becomes open for either abuse or perceived abuse. So when it's a student of color, you did this. When it's not a student of color, you did that. Whereas if you're a little less wide open on the actions you would take, then there's less room for that. This specific one says maybe subject to disciplinary action up to and including suspension and or expulsion, which is essentially completely you're out of here. So,
well, answer me this, Gary. How would you, first of all, is this required to be in here by law? Is
We're
one of the
required to have an unmanned aircraft policy.
So then,
not giving us an option.
we're required to have a policy.
Sure.
But in it, we get to decide.
I understand. So, since we have to have a policy, would your solution either involve lowering the top level of the disciplinary action, which I don't agree with, because if somebody does use it weaponized, then I want the ability to be able to go to a suspension or expulsion? Or would it be to have more of a framework to list out what we consider weaponized, or if somebody takes a drone and flies it into the girls' locker room and invades a bunch of privacy rules, or whatever that could be. There's a number of versions. Would it be more detailed in the policy itself? I'm trying to understand. I understand the issue that you bring up, but I'm trying to figure out how to fix it.
My preference would be that it doesn't go up through suspension or expulsion, because it's really not necessary. And if it gets to the point where it's what you guys call weaponized, you can probably go to some other policy and deal with that.
So we can, instead of making this statement, we can refer to the policy on student discipline and maybe subject to discipline under policy, whatever that student policy is. So if we want to amend that to say that gives us the same flexibility. I'm not sure.
When we get something like this, we just say to let the administration come back with some better wording possibly at the next meeting.
So does this statement, you feel, negates all the other steps in our disciplinary policy? That we can just say, you're
I
out?
believe this is also the same wording that we use in almost all of the policies that have come before today. So are we going to go back and amend all of the previous policies? I guess one of the things that, how I would look at this is if someone is suspended or expelled, that gets brought before this board in an executive session where we review the treatment of all of our students, and we become the checks and balance system on watching to see the ramifications of how these policies are being implemented in a school district. But I mean, if you make this change to this policy, then in essence, we're also saying, well, then we necessarily don't agree with all the previous policies, and we should go back and revise all of them and say something different.
Well, so we had a particular case, Debbie will probably remember, we had a student with shotgun shell, some kind of ammunition. By the time it reached the board, the student had already been suspended for some number of days. And even though the board chose to say at that time the superintendent of the student shouldn't have been expelled and, get back into class as quickly as possible. So by the time it gets to us, sometimes it's like already over.
Well, but, I guess your point that we may discriminate against students based on their color and the ramifications for their actions, I mean, we would be, I think that's what the board needs to be monitoring and making sure that things like that don't happen. But we can amend the policy to whatever we like, but it just seems counterintuitive to Denver. We have stated these same things in the previous policies that we've done, and we're going to change it for this single policy. I think the word is may extend up to this, and so that gives latitude for the school district and the administrators to do whatever they feel is the correct option for the young man or the young woman involved. So.
And that option doesn't change if we change this language to say refer to the students in some policy.
Because that
it's
policy
still up
also
to
states
may.
that you may be expelled or suspended based on behavior. So, I mean, I think we're just arguing over semantics, but I'm happy that in the spirit of moving the meeting forward.
I'm certainly not trying to rewrite it in this meeting. So I'm just saying I have concerns about that broad a brush for some of the things that wind up in our policy.
There's a motion and second, noted concerns from Director Richardson. So procedurally, it's either move forward or whoever made the motion.
Hearing no amendment, why don't we call for a roll call vote on the policy as presented?
Sorry, I don't know how this works. Should we amend it to just take that one out so we can vote on the other?
It's my recommendation to be consistent throughout policy, because if we're going to do this on this policy, poor chairman makes a very valid point that we need to go back and scrub our policies. The nice part about policy is it really gives us flexibility and discretion, and this policy still affords that flexibility and discretion.
Roll call vote is it. Member Gilday?
Yes.
Member German? Yes. Member Brownell?
Yes.
Board Chair Nelson?
Yes.
Member Coleman?
Yes.
Member Wilkins? Yes. Member Richardson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Our future meeting dates, not next Tuesday, October 27th, which is a Tuesday at 5 p.m. will be our next board meeting. And then we also talked a little bit earlier and announced the OSBA convention, which is going to be November 14th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can get a hotel if you would like, and watch the conference.
You heard it say it.
I don't know that it's covered.
No, we have to pay for it.
We have to pay for it.
It's gonna leave it on the record so we can get one.
Can I say something here?
Sure.
I have 2 board members that haven't shared that they want to be registered for it, so if you want to be registered for it.
Can we all go to lunch?
That's a great idea.
I love it. Probably not gonna walk.
If I'm one of those members, feel free to register me.
Like the privacy law, which
Yeah.
one of us is not?
May or may not be me.
It is you.
Howdy.
You're one of them.
Do you want to call the other one? Okay.
Well, I think you should feel free to out anybody.
Yeah, who's the other one?
Member Richardson hasn't responded either.
We pride ourselves on getting that sticker that says 100% board attendance. We need reserved seats. We deserve that 100% attendance.
All in favor, say.
Gary's going whether he likes
Let's
it or
get
not.
a loaner computer.
So Gary, I'll take your banter as you want me to register you.
Yes,
Oh,
please.
Steve, there we go.
Okay, check, 100%. You had a comment?
Well, so there's usually an OSBA fall conference, and that isn't listed on here, but it's coming right up. There's 3 different sessions to zoom in on.
That's what we're talking
Hmm?
about. The annual
There's
convention.
the annual
It's not
convention,
the
and
annual,
there's,
it's the Southern Oregon.
Oh, pre one, the rubber chicken dinner?
yes.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten notice on that, they usually do it specifically by region, right?
Yeah, but they aren't this time.
Hopefully they're not too
They
big.
have 3 different dates and one's at noon, coming right up.
Oh, next week, that's the legislative and
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
so
gal normally does.
that's a little bit different than the fall regional. Like the fall regional last year, they talked about student investment account and things like that. This is very specific to legislation and policy.
And
My
usually
understanding.
that's in the fall
That's part of
regional.
the fall regional, yeah.
So I just bring that up in case people don't
I don't know about it.
know about it.
Honey, will you forward that one to them?
I'm looking at it, is this the one that the legislative team will want to be identical legislative update?
Yeah, it's Tuesday at
October
noon,
20th.
Thursday at 5:30 or 5, and then Saturday.
Yeah. So I just think a reminder on that.
I'm sending it to you, right?
I just got an email today before noon about it too.
That's, I got everything else there.
Okay. Hearing no other comments, we will adjourn our regular session and we will take a 5-minute break for those who need it, and then we'll open up our executive session.
So folks that are out there in Zoom land, I only need probably Sherry and Danny to attend executive session to cover these. So the rest of the directors are excused unless we got Dr. Bloomquist running, pulling the strings behind the scenes.
I have a quick question for the special ed, which you'll know. What is the individualized family service plan?
That's for preschool age students. So when you get to school age, it's called an IEP. When you're preschool age, it's IFSP.
I thought we have
Because
individual
at the
plans for
preschool,
families?
yeah, at the preschool level, they actually engage the families at higher level because the kids don't come in person as much. So they work with the parents to maybe do some skill development in the home.
Can we continue that K through 12?
Well, an IEP is inclusive of the parents, and there's always, here's what your student really needs to work on, here's how you can help in the home.
Yeah, I figured.
Little bit.
Connect the dots there. I am concerned I do not have to go to the restroom. I drink all of that. 74 is my ideal temperature. I'm good with 74. I think we're also a perfect storm of having a nice low case count. So if you're in a county that had a higher case count, then you've got teachers that are even more on edge about stuff. So I think we've got this perfect storm of circumstances and mental approaches or thoughts on the matter. It's like this perfect balance of all the pieces came together really nicely. It still doesn't happen without the Sherry piece.
Yeah.
But I think
You're right.
I think that I've heard, and I don't know if it's rectified since, but we were proactive in like the fumigators things, the foggers and stuff that our other local districts weren't looking into. And we had them before this even happened. Building safety, building relationships with trust.
Go back, in. Okay. All right, we're gonna reopen our regular session to vote on these action items from our executive session. We unmuted.
Oh, other mouse. Lower left.
Yeah.
Oh.
They can hear us.
Oh, Grant, that's Todd. Grant's past boardroom is Todd. Levi Clark is this one. We're not muted.
Okay.
Yep, it's just me, guys.
Too many accounts.
All right, well, we will entertain a motion to approve our action items 10.1.1, 10.1.2, and 10.1.3.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Tanya, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Dale Green?
Yes.
Member Durbin? Yes. Member Brownell? Yes. Board Chair Nelson?
Yes.
Member Coleman?
Yes.
Member Wilkin? Yes. Member Lee?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you very much. We will adjourn all of our meetings. Thank you for your participation.